Hello, Freedom Guy 55 here again. And yeah, the movie is Red State. And sorry about the really late review, but I wanted to actually bring it out and I wanted to actually talk about it. But then a lot of people were praising it and I noticed some certain flaws. And then of course I procrastinated for the longest time. And then now I'm just saying, fuck it, I'm going to really do a review on it. So here we go. The movie is Red State. It centers around pretty much this fundamentalist or really extremist fundamentalist group that kind of is somewhat similar to, say, the Westboro Baptist Church. Pretty much the kind of cult group that everybody just really doesn't like. And it centers around three, in the beginning, of course. Later on, it winds up actually becoming kind of different or develops differently. But it starts off with three teenage boys who wind up actually meeting somebody online who's willing to actually give them sexual favors or whatever. You know, have sex with them. And so they wind up going out and going to this woman and really getting ready to do it. And she drugs them, and you find out that she's part of this religious cult that kidnaps they wind up kidnapping these teenage boys and for their kind of religious cult practices, so to speak. Yeah. They become kind of like the human sacrifices or something. Anyway, what do I say about this particular kind of film? This film is pretty much, to my perspective, a really big mixed bag. I'm sorry to those people who like this movie. It's not bad. I'm not going to say that Kevin Smith is just terrible or anything. No, I'm not going to say that. All right, that's not my particular kind of thing. But if you wind up looking at this movie in somewhat of a way, you can actually seem to appreciate it. For Kevin Smith to go and do something different than what he's actually done before, and you kind of can appreciate him in that way. Anyway, there are some really good things in the film that I really did like. Okay, and that's pretty much like surrounding, I think, one, the dialogue. The dialogue in this movie is just really awesome. I love the dialogue. Kevin Smith can make really very good dialogue, and he proves that he can make dialogue even beyond other particular kind of things that he's done before. That it seems that, he's proven it to, I think, even other people that he can actually make dialogue that could really incorporate anything else and work extremely well for that. Because I feel so riveted when I watch this and see how this kind of, how the flow of the dialogue in the movie just works so well within the scenes, even when the scenes may not work. Okay. Also, what I really loved about the film was the religious cult. I actually believed in this religious cult. I didn't believe in what they believed, but I mean, I believed that this religious cult would really do this. That they would just be like, this freaking scary cult here. They just were very, very believable. Very, very spooky, very creepy. Also, I did like Michael Parks' performance in this movie. Not to say that it's like a Ryan Gosling, performance, but it is a kind of genuine performance. It works for him as an actor. You just have a tendency to really believe that he is this character that really motivates these other individuals and people. You just kind of see him in this role. It just feels genuine. As far as anything else, here comes the kind of mixed bag. Well, one is the cinematography in this film. The cinematography was actually, in some ways, there were some good cinematography type of things that I actually liked that were actually saying, oh yeah, it was good for an independent film. It worked, and it's like, okay, And then other kind of shots I was like, oh God, I didn't like that shot. It was kind of hard to watch. It just didn't fit. It was almost as if it just didn't fit other scenes that I just really wanted or liked. And that was a kind of a really kind of big problem, is that I felt kind of like conflicted with the cinematography in this movie. I liked it, I didn't like it, I liked it, I didn't like it, kind of a tug of war, Also, the film also has this kind of script problems, and it doesn't have anything to do with the dialogue. Nothing to do with the dialogue. It has more of how the kind of story develops. That I kind of felt a little bit wrong. Seriously. I mean, when you kind of like look in this, in the beginning of the movie, we wind up following these 3 teenagers, right? And yet, during the film, and pretty much to a point of the film, I was thinking to myself, we didn't even need these 3 kids at all. We didn't even need to establish them. There was no necessity for them. None. You didn't need to have these kids in this particular type of movie. Or if you did, you didn't need to develop them as much as they did in the beginning of the movie. It was almost as if it was so unnecessary for it to even happen. I mean, you could have started off these kids just driving on the road and smacking into the car. And I'm sorry, that might be a little bit of a spoiler, but anyway, smacking into the car and driving off. You could have just had them start off with that, right? And then transpose the dialogue that you wind up seeing in the lunch when they had lunch at their school to the dialogue in the actual truck, or in the car, I mean, that they were in. And it wouldn't have changed anything. It would have actually still developed well as a movie. There were certain problems like that in the film of how the story would develop like that. And that was what I really had a problem with in this film. Now, as much as anything else, I didn't hate this movie. I did not really hate it at all. But there was also a problem with the ending of the movie as well. The ending of the movie just felt like it really didn't fit the rest of the film, because it felt a little bit too comical with the government agents and such when he was being like when John Goodman in the movie was being kind of debriefed, because he plays an ATF agent in the movie and they bring him in. And the thing is, I thought that kind of dialogue just really did not fit. I mean, the dialogue was good, and it worked well for the scene. But I'm talking about how the dialogue did not fit the actual other scenes that we wound up seeing in the movie. It just almost felt out of place. Now, and then, of course, there was the ending with Michael Parks, which was appropriate in some ways, where he was singing and such like that. I just felt that they could have used some sort of particular type of, I guess, like he was trying to rebuild his religious church and stuff. And I thought that would have been much more creepy and, stuff like that. So I was like, and that was the problem with this movie, is that when the story wound up developing, I just felt like there were times, I didn't say that I could do it better, but I felt like there could have been something done that would have been better. And I'm not saying that, I'm better than Kevin Smith or any of that other shit. It's just the fact that there could have been something that could have been better done in the movie. And that's my problem with it. It just felt like a mixed bag. I liked the film for the most part because it did have a tendency to relate to certain particular kind of circumstances in real life. Like, say, Westboro Baptist Church, and other particular kind of religious cults that we've seen before. They're like David Koresh and Jim Jones, stuff like that. So in a way, I can understand that kind of relevance. But it was just the problem of how certain things were executed within the film that kind of got me a little bit, felt uneasy in the movie. Anyway, the film, I would say, in a sense, what would I give this film? Well, I didn't hate this film like, Rotten Tomatoes critics. But at the same time, I didn't praise this film like most other individuals that I've seen. So what do I give it? Well, I give it kind of my lowest recommendation, 3 stars. I liked it better than Jersey Girl. I liked it better than Cop Out, definitely. But I didn't like it better than most of the other particular kind of Kevin Smith films, like, say, up to, from Clerks to Clerks 2. You know, those were much better, but this film just didn't really hit as well as it could have been. Though, it is still in some ways somewhat enjoyable, and I think it's good to see once. But if you're going to buy it or whatnot, it's either you really liked it, or pretty much, to my perspective, if I buy it on DVD, I'm probably going to buy it on, like, when it hits a bin, like in some sort of, like, you know, $5 bin or maybe $10 bin. But that's pretty much it. Well, and I guess that's pretty much it. I don't hate Kevin Smith or any of that other stuff. It's just there were certain problems within the film that I thought it could have been better. And I thank you for your time, and have a nice day.